We have announcement dates for Canon cinema gear, a Sony vlogging camera, as well as Apple hardware, and we do have a new RF lens. We'll get into that shortly too. I'll also share with you an update on the Ordinary Filmmaker's roadmap and a problem I recently had with a Rode VideoMic Pro. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Simon. Thanks for tuning into the Ordinary Filmmaker. If you're new here, subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any news, rumors, or tutorials. And all the links to everything I talk about in this video, including gear discussed, are placed in the description down below along with my affiliate links. So if you need camera gear and you also want to help support the channel, well, consider using the affiliate links below for B&H and Amazon. And if you're in Canada, consider giving Patrick a call at Downtown Camera. Canon confirmed that the Canon C70 cinema camera will be announced on September the 24th at 1400 hours Central European Time, or 9 a.m. New York time at Canon Vision. Canon Vision is aimed at broadcasters, cinema photographers, independent filmmakers, videographers, and ordinary filmmakers with a hefty budget. Attendees will gain insight into technology from its team of product specialists and industry-leading professionals. And you'll also get the opportunity to watch short film screenings, but that's not the only product announcement we have. September's turning out to be very hot. Sony will announce the A7 or the Alpha 7C on Tuesday, September the 18th at 10 a.m. in the morning. As reported earlier, the Sony a7C is designed for vloggers and YouTube presenters, but don't expect it to be cheap like the Sony ZV-1. The a7C is expected to cost about 2,100 euros or around $2,000 US. This is one presentation to watch. Sony is the #2 player in the market, and they didn't get there by playing it safe. What would cause you to spend $2,000 on a full-frame mirrorless camera aimed at YouTube presenters and bloggers? Vloggers! Other than, of course, being a vlogger or a YouTube presenter yourself. And you know what? I'm one of those now. I've been doing this for almost a year, and you know what? I'd rather get the A7S III. I wonder if they can convince me to get the A7C. But the first conference up on the calendar is actually from Apple. Apple will also be making a series of announcements on September the 15th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe that's a Tuesday. They didn't release a lot of products in 2020, so I expect it to be jam-packed with lots of news, and, well, who doesn't like jam? I know what you're thinking. What does Apple have to do with cameras, camera gear, or filmmaking? Well, quite a lot, actually. Apple is redesigning their PCs and workstations to use in-house ARM-based custom chips that are expected to dramatically increase editing performance of video editing apps like Final Cut Pro and iMovie. Then, of course, there's their iPhones, and any major changes to the customer experience related to photos, videos, and editing is definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, iPhones, well, I believe it or not, I use an iPhone to control the camera and the teleprompter, and I also use it to download photos. I use it to control my camera through Canon Camera Connect, and, well, iPhones and iPads are also used a lot, and you can use them to fly drones, so Apple does play a rather large role in this market. But that's not the only news I have for today. Canon Rumors has a known source claiming that that Canon will release the RF, are you ready for this? 14-21 f1.4 USM L series lens before the year is out. It's even been spotted in the wild being tested. The RF platform is definitely shaping up to be something interesting. And speaking of interesting, I've got an update on my channel's roadmap for you. So this is what I've got planned over the next couple of months. One of the biggest bits of news is, and I've been saying this all along, but not everybody's believed me. A lot of people think I'm all about Canon. Well, it's not true. I am going to be getting the Sony a7S III. I'll be getting that probably within the next 6 weeks. And once I do have it, the R5 is going to take a break from the channel. It's going to become a B-roll camera, and it's also going to be more or less just fun and gun for my family stuff. And I'm going to be using the Sony a7S III for pretty much all of the channel's content, from doing internal studio stuff to shooting outside. And I want to really put it through its paces, just like I have with the Canon R5. I'm also going to be doing a review shortly, hopefully within the next month, of either the RF 35mm or the RF 85mm, the 1.8 and 2.0 respectively. I'm going to try to get the 85mm first, but we'll just have to wait and see. The market is a little bit constrained with some of these things, so even though Patrick's doing a great job of getting me gear, sometimes things are constrained. One other thing you might be interested in is my contest giveaway. what I've decided to do is offer up another product or a prize for when I get to 20,000 subscribers. The rules are going to be pretty much the same as they are for the Canon EOS R5. That is still a contest that's underway, but to help us get to 20,000 subscribers a little quicker, I'm going to offer up a lavalier microphone. More details on that later. I'll publish a separate video for that alone. But that's it for the roadmap update. I have a couple of pain points I want to go over with you. I do have a bone of contention with Rode though. I was doing some mic tests during lunch, getting ready for my microphone review. I shot some fall footage with my son gathering acorns. Yeah, I guess I'm not the only one in this family that acts a bit like a squirrel. Anyhow, it was windy, so I used the Rode Dead Cat that I bought yesterday to eliminate any wind noise. Now the VideoMic Pro does a pretty good job outside alone, but when it gets really windy, it starts picking up some noise. Now, I've used Dead Cats before. I've owned the Sennheiser MKE 400 shotgun mic, and it worked very well, no matter how fast the wind got, no matter how forceful it was. Now, a good Dead Cat will capture the wind sound, but it will sound like wind. Poor ones, well, what they tend to do is capture what sounds like static or noise, and it's not very pleasant to the ears. It's kind of like watching hurricane or tornado type news coverage. You can hear the wind howling, but you don't hear that static, and I'm not even going to try to replicate it here. Sadly, when I got back to edit, I was shocked to hear the audio was so much worse without the Dead Cat. The wind actually had a strong bass sound to it, dominating the audio track. Now, if I was facing into the wind, it worked flawlessly. It worked very well indeed. But if I turned away from the wind, the sound was far worse than without the Dead Cat. Here, have a listen.
We need these acorns for squirrels, you know.
Yep, that was with the Dead Cat on. Now let me show you why this happens and what you can do to solve this problem in case you encounter it yourself. This here is actually the Rode VideoMic Pro. It works very, very well. I'm very happy with it. Outdoors, it captures a nice ambience, an overall full sound. I'm very happy with it. This here is the Dead Cat that I used on my Sennheiser MKE 440. 400, not 440. The 440 is the new one. And it has you can't see it here, but it has a little clip, and all I have to do is I bring it in, clip it down, and it doesn't matter which way I face the wind, it works perfectly. This guy here, it's almost like a slipper or sock. What you do is, the best thing to do is you have to first of all take this off, and then you have to get it inside, snug in. It's like I said, it's like kind of get your foot into a sock. And then make sure it's all the way in. And then you put it in just like so. Yeah, it's not as easy, like the Sennheiser, it's a much better job. And that looks like some pretty serious kit, doesn't it? Like it does a great job. Like if I was riding my bike the other day, and if I was riding my bike like this, right into the wind, it would do a perfect job. Does a really good job. But shooting my son, I started off at this angle here, and I started to move around because it's getting a nice sort of cinematic look to it. And what happens is this part is open here. There's no way to tie this down. There's no clip or anything. No matter how much you try, it doesn't stay there. And so the wind gets caught up in here, and it makes a really loud sound. And I'm not the only one. I did some searching online, and plenty of other people had the same problem. And do you know what some of them did? One girl had a coat that she wasn't using anymore, and she actually took the faux or fake animal fur off the top, and she actually sewed it on to the back here, keeping it shut. And they said that it did a pretty good job. It wasn't 100%, but it was a whole lot more tolerable. But it's just ridiculous that a company like Rode that puts out some really good microphones, yeah, I know, I'm treating it like it's a cat, right? It feels like a cat. Would just, you know, do it like this. And what was really frustrating too is when I bought the Sennheiser, it came with all this together. It came with the both, so it came with, I don't know what this device is called here, this type of foam, but it came with one like this. It's a little smaller, and it came with obviously this one here, and it was around $200. This one here is a little bit more expensive. It's about $229, and didn't come with anything. And again, it does a pretty good job by itself, but it was just really, really frustrating. So what I've decided to do, instead of muck around with it, because the last thing I need to do is be fiddling around with gear or trusting gear and then finding out it just doesn't work in the field. So I'm going to take it back in the next couple of days and just shoot without it. But I was really, really disappointed. And in case you're wondering which one I got, I did get the right one. I got the Dead Cat VMPR. So the Dead Cat VMPR is the one that I needed to get for my Video Mic Pro, because I think if it's before 2015, you have to get a different one. But yeah, really, really frustrating. I mean, this stuff isn't rocket science. Why they couldn't just have one that snaps on so the wind doesn't get around there, or Velcro or something. Now, one last thing before you go, and I do apologize because I normally don't get political, but something's been bothering me for quite some time now, and I just can't stay on the sidelines and be quiet about it anymore. And that's kicking Pluto out of the Council of 9 Planets by the International Astronomical Union. That's actually their real name, the International Astronomical Union. I know it sounds like something out of the Lord of the Rings, doesn't it? I love science. I'm a bit of what you would call an armchair physicist, and when I grew up, there was 9 planets, and then right around 2000, people started thinking, okay, you know what, I think we've got a problem here, because they started discovering a lot more planets, and I mean a lot, like 60 or more planets. But it started bothering some of them. Well, are these really planets? Are they? And so there's a whole deep discussion about this. I'm not going to get into it because you could fill 60 minutes, and they have, talking about something like this. And what they decided to do is redefine what planet means, and Pluto did really good. There was 3 separate things, and the last item that kind of failed Pluto was that, well, Pluto wasn't large enough to dominate the system in which it orbits. Okay? I have a little problem with that. If we go back to the formation of the solar system, within the first couple of thousands or millions of years, it was a pretty messy place. Stuff was flying all over the place. So are they telling us that planets can't form until 500 million or a billion years after the solar system forms and everything's cleaned up nice and tidy? Probably not, but you know, and that's a little bothering. But here's what they named Pluto. Are you ready for this? Despite Pluto not being a planet and all that contention about it being a planet, they went ahead and named it a dwarf planet. That's right, a dwarf planet. I know it's a noun phrase, meaning you have an adjective and a noun grouped together to form the name. This is not uncommon. The White House, for example. It's a house and it's white. Yes, I know there's the West Wing and there's businesses, but a president lives there with his family as a house. It's a house and it's white. So by calling Pluto a dwarf planet, okay, it's dwarf, it's smaller than the other planets, it's size challenged, but they're still calling it a planet. So by their own definition, Pluto is a planet. It's just considered what's a dwarf planet. It's a small planet, is it not? I'm really confused by some of the terminology. Don't get me into the standard model of particles where they talk about gluons and bosons, or not bosons, bosons a force carrier, but get into gluons and chromodynamics and how they just seem to come up with names for things because, well, it's the only things that rationally make sense at the time. Of course, they usually support that with a large theoretical paper. Well, the paper's not theoretical, but the information in it is. I love that. For years in high school, they told us that protons were positively charged and they attract negatively charged particles. So positives and negatives attract each other. And if you take 2 positives and put them together, they repel each other. Yet somehow, in the center of an atom, you've got all these protons sticking together with the neutrons, which have no charge at all. So how could this possibly happen? Oh, well, that's because of a gluon. Yeah, sounds scientific, doesn't it? But anyhow, that's it for now. Every now and then I like to do a commentary of things that are bothering me, and that was one thing that's been bothering me for a while. I understand the science behind it, but no, let's call Pluto a planet, and it's not because of the cute little dog from Disney. Let's just call it a planet. It's a dwarf planet, but it's a planet, and we can have a whole category of planets called dwarf planets, and we won't call them part of the 8 or something. We'll have the special 8. I don't know. I won't get into it anymore. I'll leave that one alone. I'll bury it deep down inside, and it won't come up again. But thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. I am still having the contest for the EOS R5. Subscribe to my channel for your chance to win. And I do have details down below in a video along with the terms and conditions. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again soon.